Hello everyone and welcome back to a new chapter of A New Age, Erased and Repeated Again by UkiDrakii on AO3. This will be Chapter 7, Water 7, or How One Encounter Changed Robin's fate and her crew years later. Summary: CP9 still wants to get a hold on Pluton and goes undercover in Water 7. However, this time, Robin knows that she isn't facing this threat alone. Meeting Rob Lucci in Water 7 wasn't something Robin had expected, but now that she was thinking about it, Aokiji's presence in Long Ring Long Land should have warned her that the world government was closing in on her. She almost accepted to follow him without fighting, his threat to her crew, to the civilians living on this island, frightening her more than she would have thought. She knew, however, what he was capable of, and he never made empty threats. He might not want to harm her too much since the world government wanted her in one piece so they could torture everything she knew about the poneglyphs out of her without risking her death, but he certainly didn't care about the people living here. However, she knew someone who might be able to make him back off. She had followed Akainu's career, and while he was known as ruthless, he had a way of making sure that the civilian casualties were as limited as possible, which wasn't easy to do when a lot of islands ended up entirely destroyed after his fights. Still, she hoped that he would be willing to protect her, or at least the innocents on Water 7. "Robin-chan!" shouted Sanji as he saw her. She turned her head slightly to look at him through her hair, and made a split-second decision. "Sanji!" she shouted as she started to run towards him. It was probably the first time she said his name instead of calling him Cook-san, and he froze in his tracks. "Sanji, I need help," she said as soon as she reached him, turning to face toward where she had last seen Lucci. She wasn't surprised to see that the street was now empty. "Robin-chan, what's going on?" he asked seriously, able to sense her distress enough to be able to ignore the fact that the beautiful woman had almost thrown herself in his arms. "The world government, Cypherpole. They're after me. They threatened the crew, wanted me to follow them," she explained. "We're not safe here. We need to leave the island as soon as possible." "Okay, Robin, calm down. We're going back to the Mary. Zoro should still be there. He'll protect you. I'm going to look for Nami and the others. Regroup the whole crew as soon as possible so you can explain exactly what's going on." He almost put a hand on her shoulder to reassure her, but forced himself not to. He didn't want to get distracted right now. "Okay, okay," she repeated. "Thanks, Sanji. Chopper was in the library the last time I saw him." She almost felt bad for ditching him, but she didn't want to inflict Lucci on Chopper of all people. "Good, that's one less person to look for. We'll take him to Mary with us, then I'll just need to find Nami's group. I won't let anyone hurt you, Robin-chan," he declared. "Zoro, oi! Stupid Marimo, wake up!" shouted Sanji as soon as he could see the Mary. They had been running through Water 7 as quickly as possible, Robin's hand gripped tightly in Chopper's fur the whole time. "What do you want, shitty cook?" asked Zoro as he sat up. One look at Robin's pale face had him immediately on guard. "What happened?" he demanded. "There are government agents after Robin. I'll go back to find Nami and the rest. You protect Robin-chan with your life. You understand me?" Zoro nodded grimly, his hand finding its usual resting place on Watto's hilt. "Are you okay?" he asked Robin, looking for any sign of injury. "I'm fine. I'm not hurt," she corrected herself. "I shouldn't have come back here. I'm only putting you in danger," she started to say, before getting cut off by Zoro's. "Oi, if you're in danger, you turn towards the crew to protect you. That's what we're here for." "I won't let you go," said determinedly Chopper. He couldn't believe that he had separated from Robin for a few minutes and she had been in danger while he was peacefully browsing in a bookshop. "And Luffy will never let you leave once Senji tells him you're in trouble," he added. Robin sighed wearily, a hand coming to rub between her eyes. She could tell they meant it, and she knew Luffy would do his best to prevent Lucci from hurting her. They had met when he was facing Crocodile for hurting Princess Vivi, after all. But even if he wouldn't rest until he made sure she was safe, he couldn't win against someone like Rob Lucci. The few tense minutes of silence that followed were broken by the shouts of Nami, Usopp, and Luffy, who were running at full speed towards them, briefcases clutched against their chests. "Robin!" shouted Luffy as he extended one arm and catapulted himself towards Mary. "Sanji said you were in trouble?" he asked. "Was it Aokiji?" asked Nami when she reached them a few seconds later. "No, not Aokiji. I need to tell you something. About my past. About why the government is after me." "Let's get into the kitchen," ordered Sanji. "You'll need comfort food if it's going to be a difficult conversation." They went to sit at the table in the kitchen, Nami resting a hand on her shoulder for a few seconds in support before sitting on her right, Chopper on her left, and the others spreading around the table. "I come from an island called Ohara, in the West Blue," she started to explain after a few minutes of thinking about how to bring the news. "There was the world's largest library here, and a small part of the population were archaeologists, people that were interested in history," she explained for Luffy's benefit. "There is a part of our history that the world government doesn't want anyone to know about, called the Void Century. The only remnants of this period are written in another language on stones called poneglyphs." "Like the one in Alabasta," said Luffy. "Yes, exactly. Some of these poneglyphs explain what exactly happened during the Void Century, but others, they give the position of very powerful weapons that would be able to destroy the world. That was what Crocodile was looking for in Alabasta." She saw Luffy frown slightly, and she knew when his expression went blank that he understood that the poneglyph in Alabasta had been one giving away the emplacement of one such weapons. "The government has outlawed the ability to read poneglyphs, but Ohara's archaeologists didn't care and learned in secret. When I was 8, the government found out, and they decided—" She choked on her saliva and had to take a break from the story, drink water to soothe her closed throat, saying it calmly, like she wasn't talking about the death of everyone she had loved. She wasn't sure where she found the strength to do it. "They sent something called the Buster Call. It's the bombardment by multiple warships of an island with the goal to destroy it. It destroyed entirely Ohara, and the only survivors were on a rescue ship sent by the Marines, where they made sure no archaeologists were hidden." "Robin," whispered Nami, pain in her voice. "That's what they threatened to do to Water 7 if I didn't go with them," she explained before anyone could interrupt. "We're not letting you go," said Luffy, calmly. "We need to leave the island then," said Usopp, a quiver in his voice. "Either get to somewhere isolated to fight them, or to lose them on the water." Robin couldn't help but smile incredulously at that. She had thought that once they knew how dangerous her presence was, they would leave her. And here they were, not even thinking about abandoning her, but instead planning on how to survive this together. "Who says they won't still destroy Water 7? Asked Nami. "The Marines don't care about the innocent lives that are lost," she spat out, remembering the captain that had been paid off by Arlong and had let him reign in terror for years. "If I told you this, it's because I know someone in the Marines that told me he would help me if I ever fessed a trait like that. But it wouldn't have been fair to you to involve them without asking you before, because I don't know if you'll ask anything in return for stopping the Buster Call." "We're not trading a bad situation for another," protested Nami. "Let's see what Robin's contact can do," said Zoro. "We don't have anything to lose. Either he's willing to help and everyone will be safe, or he isn't and is trying to blackmail her. And then we'll go and beat up every Marine we can find before they can say the words buster call. You have no idea how much. The buster call isn't something you can fight. It's powerful enough to destroy this island entirely until there's nothing left. You can't stop something like that, said Robin desperately. But we can stop the people who are ready to unleash it, Robin-chan, countered Senji. He lit his cigarette during the discussion as a way to center himself and took a deep breath. If it's something involving multiple warships, then a higher up in the Marines must be the one to give the order. Yes, frowned Robin. I don't know who exactly has the power to trigger them. At least the admirals, the Chenyubito, and maybe the directors of some cipher pol units, the government's espionage agency. But it needs to be someone with a lot of power since vice admirals are in charge of the attack. Then we just have to prevent anyone from being able to ask for a buster call, said Luffy. Unless Aokiji is already on the island, countered hesitantly Chopper. I think we need to learn more about the man Robin mentioned before deciding to attack every marine we can find, said Nami. Who is it? You said he'd be able to stop the buster call. His name is Sakazuki, also known as Akainu, answered Robin after a second of hesitation. The Admiral? Shouted Sanji. What? Said Usopp. How come you know all of those admirals? Asked innocently Luffy. Aokiji and Akainu were both vice admirals that participated in the buster call of Ohara, she answered. Nami choked on her breath at that. What? She said faintly. Aokiji saw me on the island. He knew I was an archaeologist and that I wouldn't be able to escape with the rescue ship. He let me escape after killing Saul in front of me. They could tell that there was more to the story, as this didn't explain the sheer terror Robin had shown when they met him, but decided not to pry. They could tell the situation was already hard enough on her. Akainu. He found me a few days after I escaped. He warned me that the world government thought that I had survived and would do anything to make sure that I would get captured. That's why I had a bounty at such a young age. He's the reason why it took them 2 years to catch up with me enough to have a picture for the wanted poster. I would have been caught at the first island I stopped at otherwise. He said that he would be willing to help me if I ever got in trouble, not because of something I did, but because of the world government's view on everyone that knows how to read poneglyphs. So, he's a good guy, right? Asked Luffy. He has a reputation of being especially harsh against criminals, more than the other admirals, answered Robin. But he knew that I was destined to become a criminal, and that's why he offered his help that way. I don't think he would have helped if I got caught by the Marines in Alabasta, for example. The crew stayed silent for a few seconds, looking at each other. We don't have anything to lose, right? Said Usopp. Let's call him, decided Luffy. Gotcha. Sakazuki. The voice was deep on the other hand, and Usopp clenched Nami's hand as they listened tensely to the Denden Mushi's call. You told me to call if I ever needed help, said Robin. Wait a second, I'm making sure the call is secure. Why are you calling me, Nico Robin? Asked Sakazuki. Your offer, 20 years ago, is it still standing? She asked. It didn't have a time limit, no. I wouldn't have bothered to track you down just to extend my offer for a few years, he answered, and Sanji let out a silent breath in relief. I met Rob Lucci today. It seems that CP9 has been looking for me, informed Robin. They shouldn't be. They've been on an undercover mission for 4 years, one of the utmost importance for the world government, answered Sakazuki. They threatened to trigger a buster call on Water 7, said Robin tightly. The silence this time was far longer. I hadn't known that, thought Sakazuki. It seems like the situation was more of a clusterfuck than I thought at first. And it seems like Cypher Pole units are far more ready to trigger Buster Call than they should. I thought that Ennia's lobby had been a desperate attempt to prevent Nico Robin from escaping, but if they're willing to send one just to catch her, I really would like to know what really happened that day. I don't have control over the actions of Cypher Pole, he finally answered calmly, and Nami started to bite her knuckles to stop herself from shouting in despair. However, CP9 works from Ennia's lobby, which is a marine base, and every marine there is answerable to me. I can't prevent them from arresting you, since you do have a bounty, but if I decide to do a surprise inspection of Ennia's lobby, it would prevent them from making you disappear. You would still receive a trial according to your crimes, he told her. We're not letting Robin get arrested, protested sharply Luffy before anyone could stop him. Sakazuki chuckled darkly. Oh, how he hated that voice. It seemed that Monkey D. Luffy had always been that headstrong and quick to jump into a fight, which wasn't surprising, really, since Enni's lobby had happened. But right now he didn't have the power to back up his attitude, not like toward the end when he was able to defeat the Yonko. Calm down, Straw Hat Luffy. The sharp intakes of breath, on the other hand, told him that various people in the Straw Hat crew understood the significance of an admiral knowing Luffy's name and recognizing him by voice alone. Cypherpool 9's director, Spandam, shouldn't be able to trigger a buster call. It doesn't mean that he won't find a way to do it. Cypherpole doesn't play by the Marines' rules. They don't care about the chain of command. I can't ensure that he will never call a buster call in Water 7. Whatever happens, your best bet is going to Annie's lobby. He let them think for a few seconds before continuing. If your crew is not willing to let you face justice, Nico Robin, then he might make plans to free you once you reach Annie's lobby, which would sadly coincide with me ordering every Marine out of Annie's lobby to catch a dangerous criminal. He hinted, not discreetly at all. Why would you do that? Asked another woman's voice. Cat burglar Nemi, he identified. Because there is someone on Benaro I want to catch. I will need backup to ensure the safety of the population, and Annius Lobby is the closest marine base. And how can we trust you? Asked pirate hunter Zoro. You can't, he answered bluntly. You have no reason to trust a marine, especially not me. I'm not an admiral because I'm nice to every pirate I encounter. Should we meet face to face, I'll arrest you all and ship you to Impel Down. But we're not meeting, and this isn't about Robin's actions as a pirate, but about her ability to read poneglyphs. Cover-ups are necessary to make sure that civilians don't lose faith in the Marine tasked with protecting them. But covering up an entire century isn't a good thing, and it will explode in the world government's face when their actions during that time are discovered. Robin frowned slightly at that. This kind of talk, criticizing the world government, wasn't something she could reconcile with the reputation Sakazuki had as a marine. It matched more the man that had searched for her only to offer his help, and this duality was disturbing. She couldn't think about it right now. CP9's presence a more pressing matter. How fast can you empty Ennia's lobby? She asked. I can give the order today. Tomorrow at noon, every Marine will have left Ennia's lobby. But don't mistake this to mean it will be empty. There are still the Cypherpole agents, including CP9, and the various forces tasked with protecting Ennia's lobby that aren't part of the Marine. You could very well fail. We'll take the chance, decided Luffy after staring for a few seconds at Robin's face. And there we go. So this was chapter 7. I hope you enjoyed it. Honestly, I have so much trouble sometimes with the dialogue between the characters because They say something and then they say it in a certain tone, but that's not the tone I read it in. Anyway, I'm sure it happened more than a few times. Just imagine it differently in your head or something. I don't know. I'm sorry about that, but um yeah, not much I can do about it for now because I'm lazy a bit. Anyway, I still hope you enjoyed it. Robin finally cashing in her favor with Akainu. And with that, I will see you in the next chapter.